It was the John Byrne run that made me fall in love with this character because it was just so fun and light, and it just felt so refreshing because a lot of superhero comics are very dramatic and heavy, a lot of serious men dealing with serious issues.
Right.
And so reading the John Byrne run was just so it was just a breath of fresh air.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Movie Podcast. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me, don't make him angry, it's Shahbaz.
That was the back pocket one, wasn't it?
That was the one that I was like, how am I going to do it this time? I'm going to introduce one way or the other. Don't make him angry, it's Shahbaz.
Or you could have been like Shahbaz, attorney at law, almost like She-Hulk, attorney at law.
I don't like when you give me better ideas after I've already presented mine.
Well, you know what?
Foremost.
I'm just trying to let the audience know that there are other possibilities out there in
There
this
are
multiverse.
Are you the ancient one? Just give me
I'm like also like kind of modern too with it, but I'm like
Yeah.
I've got like a
Who are
modern
you?
flair.
I like it a lot.
to
Shay, how
my,
are you doing though?
I'm doing great. I got a haircut. So for the
You
people
did? So
watching
did I.
on you did as well. For the people watching on YouTube, they'll be like, "Whoa, did my YouTube screen get more handsome?" It's true, it did. It absolutely did,
did.
because we came prepared. We know that the people want to see us with haircuts.
Right. I
and
think you
that's
sound more handsome too, actually.
I did. I've been practicing a new voice. Do you like it? It's great, isn't it?
No, I'm not a fan of that. But I
Not
think
no.
when you get a haircut, you sound more confident. And I'm not saying
Yes.
you specifically.
Right.
I mean, like you, the royal you. You
Oh,
sound more
yes.
confident. I also think the reverb when you speak is a bit different because it's
The
not
way the-
bouncing off all your hair follicles.
Exactly. The way the audio goes through my hair,
Right.
Again, I'm not a scientist or a hairologist or a barber, but I believe all of those things play a factor into your voice.
I think so. I think they do.
Yeah.
Today is a very special edition of the Movie Podcast, and we would love to tell you why. Because we have two very special guests joining us on the show today.
We
now,
do.
Shay, I'm just curious. Do you know who's joining us? Do you know who we're about to be talking to?
Daniel, I have no clue. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm stunned. I'm floored. I don't know. Did I even talk to them? Did I? Yeah, I believe I did.
You were there beside me. You were right there beside me.
I don't
Joining
remember.
us on the Movie Podcast today is She-Hulk attorney at law, head writer Jessica Gao, and director for episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 9, Kat Coiro. So we have two incredible guests joining us. As you've seen from our social reactions, our formal review will be out tomorrow on the Movie Podcast. As you've seen from our social reactions, we're big fans of the show. We're very excited to talk a lot more about She-Hulk. So make sure you tune in for our review tomorrow on the Movie Podcast. But today is all about the head writer and directors of the show. We are thrilled to have Kat and Jessica join us. We're big fans of their previous work. Obviously we know Kat from a lot of shows like Modern Family, Always Sunny, and Jessica from Rick and Morty. It's pretty amazing, and it's one of those things, as we always say on the show, we love talking to the humans behind the shows and the art that we love, and this show is no different. We love this show. As you've seen from our social reactions, this is not an official review. We love this show, and we can't wait to talk more about it. Shay, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. They were an absolute joy to talk to, and especially Kat when, she's done some of our favorite episodes from Always Sunny, just to kind of like hear her talk about Dane DeVito and how, he wished her luck on this show, and just kind of where she balanced that level of self-referential humor and how she brought it into She-Hulk is great, because if you've watched any of It's Always Sunny, they are some of the worst people imaginable that you have to watch, and they're always yelling and fighting with each other, and bringing any of those comedic elements to a show like She-Hulk is always a welcome.
It definitely is. So stay tuned for our interview very, very soon. But I want to remind you, as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for our interviews and reviews on all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at the Movie Podcast. Leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Join our Discord and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. Today, if you are listening to this on the day of release, we are in Los Angeles. What brought us there? Well, we're doing some cool stuff with Prime Video for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which you will be able to see very, very soon. So stay tuned for all of that. We are dying to talk about it. And we are dying to talk about our experience in LA. So we're playing a little time travel right now. So make sure you're following us on our socials to see what we've been up to, what we're going to be up to, and what's coming. We're also accredited for TIFF, so look forward to that in September, and for Fan Expo, which is at the end of August. So there is never a dull moment here on the Movie Podcast. So we're just so happy to have you with us. And while you're here, please check out all of the other incredible episodes and reviews and interviews that we have on the feed right now. There are so many. And I'm just thinking back to, our last Marvel ones that we did. We got to speak to Aman Vellani of Miss Marvel. We got to speak to Adil and Bilal of Miss Marvel, and obviously Batgirl directors as well too. So if you want to hear us talk about everything that's been going on in that world, go through our feed. You'll see a lot of great episodes to catch up on. If you want to hear our voices, you could hear what our voices sounded like pre-haircut and then after haircut. So you could see the difference. There is a difference. I'm sure of it, Shay.
It's like Dolby Atmos and then 2.1 audio from a mono speaker.
Right.
Like it's bad.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. I do want to give a little quick synopsis on She-Hulk before we dive into our interview. Of course, She-Hulk Attorney at Law stars Tatiana Maslany as an attorney specializing in superhuman-oriented legal cases. She's also navigating a complicated life of a single 30-something who happens to be a 6'7" superpowered Hulk. And as always, I want to say thank you to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for inviting us to watch the show and for inviting us to do these interviews. We love doing them. The show is launching this Thursday, August 18th. So make sure you check it out. You're going to have a great time with it. Again, I am just quoting our social reactions. This is not an official review. So stay tuned for our official review tomorrow. And without further ado, please welcome Jessica Gao and Kat Coiro to the Movie Podcast.
Hi, Jessica. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Shahbaz.
How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too. Love your outfit, by the way. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today on the Movie Podcast. First things first, we're loving the show, and it really is unlike anything we've seen before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we love just how self-aware it is, but it's also very aware to social commentary and appeasing the ravenous fandoms that come with comic book adaptations. What was most important to you in bringing Jennifer Walters to the screen?
Well, because my background is in TV comedy, of course, comedy was very important to me. Like it had to be funny,
Right.
But on top of that, you're never going to care about this character and their jokes if you don't really feel like they're a real person that you really care about,
Definitely.
And that you feel personal stakes to. So it was also very important that she be a very well-rounded, three-dimensional, like real feeling person who actually,
Right.
has lived a life and has real relationships.
Definitely.
Now, the comedy of the show is very self-referential, just like in the comics. Of course, Jennifer Walters isn't the only fourth wall breaking hero in Marvel. Was Jennifer breaking the wall always the plan for the show? And is she ever going to have like a fourth wall breakathon with Deadpool, maybe like season 2?
Yeah, well, look, like first of all, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, we've said it a million times. I'll say it till my dying days. She-Hulk broke the fourth wall first in the comics. Read your comics before you complain.
Yes.
But it was the John Byrne run that made me fall in love with this character because it was just so fun and light, and it just felt so refreshing because a lot of superhero comics are very dramatic and heavy, a lot of serious men dealing with serious issues,
Right.
Mhm.
And so reading the John Byrne run was just so it was just a breath of fresh air,
Right.
And I love that she was meta and that she would argue with Byrne, she would argue with Renee, the editor, and also she would make fun of, she was aware that she was in a comic book and she would make fun of comic book tropes too.
Right.
Like all of that I just love. So, and to me, that's just a foundational part of this character. So there was no
Right.
way I would ever do like a She-Hulk show and not have the fourth wall breaking. I mean,
Oh, of course.
I did way too much fourth wall breaking, to be honest with you. Like they made me pull it back. Like if I had my druthers, she would be breaking the fourth wall like in every single scene, and they were like too much.
No, we love it. We honestly love it. And we also love that the show deals with, experiences that women have in the workplace that men most likely don't even think about. And, I love that, in that first episode, we see Jennifer struggling with, she's qualified for this job, but she fears the perception of others thinking she's only there because she's She-Hulk. Without any spoilers, obviously, is this a theme that you think we'll see carried on throughout the rest of the series?
Yeah, because a major theme really is kind of just how different things are when you're a woman,
Right.
like the MCU has done a great job of showing you all the experiences of different types of men. But now we actually finally really get to take this like well-rounded, like three-dimensional view of like all the different small, like little things,
Yeah.
because little things can be when they're happening to you can be just as important as like the big global thing.
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
And
yeah.
these are the types of experiences that like unless you've lived them, like you just wouldn't be aware, because how would you know, like as
Right.
Absolutely.
that this was going through her head, and
Right.
and hopefully we are successful in when you watch it, you're like, I understand that, like I didn't go through that, but I totally understand why she
Definitely.
would feel this way.
Totally.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And you and the whole team did such a phenomenal job. So Jessica, I just want to say thank you again for hanging out with us on the show today. And we're loving it. We're so excited to see where the show goes, and we can't wait to see what you get to work on next too. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hi, Kat. I'm Shahbaz.
And I'm Daniel.
How are you?
Hi, it's nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you too. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so happy to finally talk to people who've seen the show.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's probably really awkward talking to people who have never seen it, and they're just like, "What are you talking about?"
Which was for quite a while there, and worrying that I would say something that would incur the wrath of the Marvel police.
Oh, they are after everybody for sure. Now, thank you again so much for sharing your time with us today on the Movie Podcast. Congratulations to you and the team. It's been a long road to release, and clearly it's paid off. The show is great, and we're excited for everyone to see it.
I'm so excited too.
Now, this show is such a treat for longtime MCU fans and has such a wealth of history to pull from. What excited you most about joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Honestly, this character is something that has been a part of my life since I was a little girl. And the fact that the show really captures the essence of the comics, even though, the plots might be different and there are all these things that we have reimagined and reinvented, the essence of who she is as this dry, witty, self-aware character who ends up, embracing taking up all the space in the room is something that I am just so excited to bring to the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Tatiana Maslany she's instantly iconic as Jennifer Walters. She just, from the get-go, she just nails it.
I think Tatiana's just instantly iconic. I was saying to someone that her and Mark had such amazing chemistry, and then I realized that she has amazing chemistry with everybody because she is such a well-rounded, deep actress who really listens and pays attention and understands the material on a macro level.
Definitely. And you mentioned Mark being on the show. You do have an original Avenger on the show and, showing Jennifer the ropes of what it means to be Hulk, which looks and sounds great, but for you must have been like a technical nightmare trying to block a scene with Tatiana and then have a giant CG Hulk. What was that shooting process like for you?
Well, it really came down to preparation and rehearsing. And, luckily both Mark and Tatiana were game to rehearse and play. And so we would actually start with the scenes as if they were human beings and find the core of the scene and the humanity. I think what makes Marvel superhero shows so unique is that you strip away all the fantasy and it really is relatable human emotions that we are gravitating towards. So we would rehearse the scene like that, and then we would start to add on the technical specifications and the height. So by the time we came to the shooting day, we had taken care of all that, and they were able to just going back to being actors, who happened to be wearing mocap suits with cameras pointing straight in their faces and little dots everywhere.
Of course, of course. Now, you've directed some of our favorite episodes of shows like Modern Family, but especially Always Sunny, and now you've done She-Hulk. You got to establish the look and feel of this show out of the gate. How did you balance directing the comedy and also this large-scale action in the series?
Because you're Sunny fans, I will say Danny sent me a picture of a She-Hulk billboard today, and that felt like a real dream come true.
That's awesome.
He's such a supporter of filmmakers, and working on that show was a really huge part in my development as a comedic director, because with them, it's so much about giving space for comedy and allowing the actors to play and improvise and just putting as many cameras on them as you can to capture the magic of the moment. And obviously with a show like this, we have huge visuals and stunts and action sequences. And so it was always about finding that balance. When do I need to go big, go Marvel? And when do I need to draw a card from the Sunny playbook and throw a couple cameras on people and let them play?
Right.
And so that was always part of the challenge and the excitement of making this show.
Right. Well, Kat, thank you so much again for hanging out with us on the movie podcast. We're loving this show and are so excited to see where it goes from here. Take care.
Thank
ya.
you.
And welcome back. Shahbaz, how are you feeling?
I'm a lot better now that I know who we talked to.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the most important thing is who are we talking to? What do they do? And why are we here?
And again,
Right?
I think I was pre-haircut in that interview, and you wore haircut.
I had a haircut already.
Yeah, so
I had a haircut,
if
yeah.
our audio sounds a little different, it's probably because of that.
Blame the haircut
Yeah.
as always. I
Yeah,
mean,
you can
that
see
was
it's
really
weighing
cool.
me down when I was talking. I was like,
I think
"Ugh."
so. I think so. That was really cool, though. I mean, I
Yeah.
think first of all, we got to say right away as soon as we saw Jessica. Jessica had the dopest outfit on.
Yeah,
That
she
looked-
was stunting on us.
That was just rad as hell. We were just wearing I was just wearing a green shirt.
I was wearing a paper bag.
Green. You were wearing, may as well have been wearing a paper
Yeah,
bag.
I mean, in
just
front of
came and
her?
stunted
Yeah.
on all of us.
Yeah.
But it was just cool, so cool hearing about how the show came together. She-Hulk is a character that I think everybody knows, but not everybody knows about or who they are. And I think it was really cool just hearing what that writing process looked like. Why did they go the route that they did? What about the fourth wall worked for the show? And hearing her talk about Deadpool was really, really cool as well. And then obviously with Kat, hearing about just, the technical difficulties that come with, making a show like this and having a character who is 7 feet tall, but also having normal humans around them. And obviously these are professionals we're talking to. So they just came prepared. They're like, yeah, it's no issue. We got it. We got it, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, 100%. This is a show that I'm excited to see what people are going to say about it, because
Definitely.
you really have to change your expectations of what Marvel can do. You have to understand that Marvel now is no longer just in the superhero action adventure realm. They are now taking every genre you've ever known, horror, comedy, thriller, etc., and just adding a layer of a superhero on it. And I think that's what's beautiful about this show. It is very obtainable. They want to try to get to as many masses as possible. And you do that with a show like She-Hulk, where someone who has never watched anything Avengers before, because all they thought was it's just superheroes smashing and breaking things,
Yeah.
you now have something that is just obtainable. And I think that's
Right.
what I love about it. It is so easy to grasp. It is such comfort food. And I love that in phase 4 of the MCU so far, we're getting things that we haven't seen before, and we're now attracting people that weren't giving the MCU a chance at all.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, you may lose a few people along the way, but that is par for the course. That happens with anything. But you're going to be gaining a lot more, because you're gaining now people that just never gave Marvel a chance. And this is what that show's going to do.
This show isn't going to have world-ending stakes as we've seen it so far, but it is going to give you a great story and different characters and different situations every week that you're going to want to tune in for. And of course, stay tuned for the movie podcast review tomorrow on our feed, because you're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and Instagram and everything so you can see exactly when that drops. I want to say thank you once again to Jessica and to Kat for joining us on the show today, and for our friends at Disney Studios Canada for making it happen for us as always. We had a great time. We're having a lot going on the movie podcast. As I said at the top of the show, we have TIFF coming up, we have Fan Expo, and we're just coming back from LA. So stay tuned to everything that's been going on. You're going to want to see what's going on in the movie podcast. We have lots happening, and we love doing it. And of course, as always, we do it for you. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. It means the world to us. Make sure you check out all of the other great episodes we have on the feed right now. And make sure you're following us on our socials at The Movie Podcast. Leave us a 5-star review if you like what we're doing. And of course, write into the show. We want to hear from you. We want your voice on The Movie Podcast. So please, if you like what we're doing, write in. We love reading them. And join our Discord so we can keep the conversation going as always. That was this time with The Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.